I mean, not notes, phones. I'm sorry. Phones need to go away at this time. The notes from last class, if you need to take them out. So, Christian, Joshua, mix the phones. Take out the notes from last time, please. I told you all to bring them back. Andy, good morning. All right, take out the notes from last time, please. And then take attendance. The reason being today and Friday, we're going to finish up the day one notes. There really is not that much more to do. I don't think there is, and even if there is, I might chop 1 or 2 out. Valerie, good morning. All right, I will give you the notes that you missed. So you can put away that phone since in class.
I was going to ask you, do you
You might already have that packet. Did you look in your notes?
Well, we might do that too.
Look through the notes. Look through your notes. If not, we're going to talk about that later. But look through your stuff. Because I do believe I gave out that packet. That if you were here for the original packet, you might look through your stuff. Okay. Again, got to get here on time. You got to be here exactly when that bell rings, because today, next time, let's talk about a few things. You really need to listen well. All right, as you know, this week's going to be a normal week. If you need, take out the notes from last time if you haven't done so. So if you arrived, get your notes from last time, because we're going to finish that up. For which one? I'm going to probably give them back as early as today, towards the end of the period. And that's going to be something I'm going to talk about. Now, this was a funny test. Meaning, quite a few of you did not do the notes, your 1 page of notes front and back that you were supposed to do. I know. Okay. The study guide was still in Schoology. The notes were still in Schoology. And the announcements were before today. Now, before the day of the test, so but the notes were still in Schoology. Okay, we're done with the excuses. Because notes were still in Schoology, you get them in Schoology. No, you can still get them. You can print them. All right, enough of the excuses. We've been taking tests long enough to know where notes are, where we need to pick up things if we are absent. That's not an excuse. There were times before, so that's not an excuse. Now, what I did was the following. I'm going to talk about grades for a quick second. So, with the study guide, unless of you did not complete the test, now I know most of you completed the test, I have those grades, I'm going to give you credit for the study guide because I know you did it in class in one way, shape, or form. So, I'm not worried about that. Okay, so we'll talk about that towards the end of the period. That is something we'll talk about because I know 1, 2, 3, 4 of you still need to show me that work. Or actually 6 of you, but a couple of you, well, I know 2 of you, well, 1 is here, 1 is not here, didn't do it. But I know a couple of you may have already done it. You just haven't shown it to me yet. If you've done it, show it to me before you go. I'll mark you correct. You'll get credit for it. Now, let's talk about the test. I did grade them. Grades are in cis. Let's say I was actually not totally sad, not totally happy. The reason why I wasn't totally sad was the majority of you actually earned a passing score of a 70 or higher. So the majority of you did pass the test. Now, some of you made your own notes and you got full credit for it. Some of you, what happened was, depending on your grade, I gave you 10% of your test grade for your notes. So let's say if you scored an 80 on the test, you got an 8 out of 10 for your notes for the test. Because at least you did some studying, you passed the test. So if you pass the test, that tells me you studied. Now, one of you, the one who did not pass, it was a barely not pass. Like, I'm not going to say names, but it was just a bare, if they did a little more work, or if it was just a little more this and that, they probably would have passed. But the majority of you who took it did pass. So I'm happy for you. That's why I'm not totally sad. Could the grades have been a little better? I think so. Okay. The compensations. You two are already coming in late, and now you're talking. No. All right. Now, another thing. Unit 8, Day 1 homework. I gave it to you last time. It's due next class. Again, if you need next week to do it, I get it. I do understand that, and we will have a stinger period next Monday. So that would be a real good day for us to look over anything that we're missing, look over anything we need to do as well as if there's time today. I also will have TA1 available. Stinger 1 tomorrow. So if anybody wants to come by during Stinger 1 tomorrow, you can. If you want to catch up on anything, make up anything, that's an option. Now, don't forget, even though I didn't put it up there, there's still projects. So your test grades are in cis. If you need to make corrections, I'll probably give you your test towards the end of the period. You can work on it. Now, whoever needs to do the test, if you need to do the test, I know who you are. You better see me ASAP to get it done. Otherwise, it'll be a 50 missing, and we're going to move on. Because, let's talk about 1 or 2 things. Next week. All right, Zoe, Valerie, stop everything for right now. I need your eyes and ears up here. Next week, we only meet, besides Stinger on Monday, we only meet 1 day next week. Because Tuesday, the 3rd, that's SOLs. They're going to have period 1, but then we won't meet. So the only day we meet next week for an actual class is Thursday the 5th. That's why I want to use today to finish up 8-1, start 8-2, try to get as much through 8-2, and then go from there. Now, what we will do That following Thursday is going to be a day where we're going to look at what we've done. We're going to probably review everything we've done so far with circles, like what we're doing from last time. Today, next class, we're going to probably, that's probably just going to be like okay, let's look at everything we've done. Let's review what we've learned and go on. Given next week's schedule is going to be crazy. But then the following week is going to be the week where we really catch up. Now, some of you might be having a reading SOL that day. So, are there any juniors? Any juniors? So it looks like you three are probably going to have an SOL that day. And then we'll find a way to make up what we missed, okay? So I'll probably have notes, everything posted. And more than likely after that, we're probably just going to finish up the rest of the unit. Because I know after not next week, the following week, there's only really, for some of you, 2 more weeks left in the school year because of being seniors and everything. So we have to get tests done. And then there's also your project, the geometry story project. All right. Okay, now we're done. Done with the review, done with catching up. All right, here we go. Okay, so we were towards the end. I think we started talking about congruent circles real quick. That's where we were. I think we talked about this already. If the radius of one circle is the same as the radius of another, then they're congruent, or so basically 2 circles are going to be congruent if they have the same radius. So that's something we talked about. I'm not worried about that. Now, I think towards the end, we started talking about congruent arcs. This is important because 2 arcs have the same measure. They could be vertical angles. Let me show you. Like with this problem, notice how the 60 degrees are congruent angles. I mean, vertical angles. We see that, right? Vertical angles have the same measure. Okay. And then, similarly, sometimes you might have a circle that is inside another circle. Now, we're not going to deal with this problem as much, but you might see that later on. You might see that in another class. You know how you might have a smaller circle inside a bigger circle. Think about like a donut. You know, with a donut, the ones with the hole, you have the little hole, and then you have the edge of the donut, the outside edge, and the inside edge of the donut. Or you might have something where 2 angles, they might be the same, but they could be in different locations. They may not necessarily be vertical like this one over here. But you'll be told, like the problems that we're going to be doing, I'm going to tell you, you're going to get the measurements of the angle, or you're going to be told you have a semicircle. And that's going to help you determine what measures go where. All right. Now, we probably ended closer to this. Now, I told everybody, don't worry about this. Don't worry about all this literature here. The only thing I want you to worry about the most is the following. And I'm going to show you. So on the slide, you know how it has all that different writing and everything? Basically, what's going to happen with the circles that we're going to deal with, it's basically, you're going to have your mirror. Boom. That's basically what's going on for this round. Now, some of the problems will change. but I will tell you when that change happens. But basically, for what you're going to see, like homework, test, review activity, they're going to be of the type where if you have to figure out the arc or the chord measure, basically think about a mirror going right through the center part of the circle. All right? I'm not going to give you any of them unless if I tell you otherwise. Now, if I tell you otherwise, that's only because you're going to get the information. You'll get enough information to figure out, okay, this is what else I need to do. But for these types of problems, I think for the most part, I'm going to have it where just draw your mirror right down the center, and your two sides are going to reflect each other. So basically, everybody's going to be congruent. So when you're congruent, you set everything equal to each other. That's what you need to worry about the most. Congruent, set equal. All right, let's cut to the chase. Now, I think this is the last problem where we stopped, where basically you had your arcs, your chords, they were congruent to each other. So in the end, your setup was you set the two sides equal. So I think, Andy, you were the one who brought that up from last time, if memory served me right. So basically, I know on your homework, the one homework activity, it was basically this idea. Have it right down the middle, and then basically, you say your sides equal to each other, you solve for the variable. But we're going to use this concept. Now, some of the other problems that we do, same concept, but we might have to find extra information. So I'll show you in a moment. And that's mainly, but the main thing is, it's down the center. We're dealing with angles in the center, and we're dealing with the center point. All right, so really quick. So this first problem, again, if your two chords are congruent with relation to the center, the two arcs are going to be congruent. All right, so this is where I know we stopped. You all have the notes up to this point. Okay, Edwin, did you get this one? Annalie, you got it? All right. Ladies in the back. Christian, I know, Andy, you got it. Joshua, did you have it? Okay, go back a few pages. I'll tell you where we are. Too far back. Right there. All right. So the next problem. So it's going to be a similar situation. Now, our first set, again, just like before, there's your mirror right down the middle. So if our mirror's right down the middle, what do we know about the relationship between VW and XY? What can we say about their relationship? Yeah, they're gonna be congruent. So basically, 9x minus 34 equals 4x plus 1. So there you go. Now, do we have enough information to solve for both x and to figure out that length of xy?
Yeah.
All right, I want y'all to do that. Do that real quick. That one's not done.
That one's supposed to.
No, I did not tell you to skip that. Good try. This one I told you to skip. Well, well, actually, no, that was regular notes. So you had to do that one. That one was what you had to skip. All right, you got it. Okay, so now you got stuff for X. Now plug in the X. Get your. Just get that measurement again. Okay, you got the X value. You got the X value. You got them both. You're good. All right, and with some for the X, you can do it. I know you can. I know you can. X, remember XY, right here. Okay, Joshua, did you copy down that problem? Copy down, please. Okay, you got it, Jason. You got it. Yeah, you got it. You're good now. Okay, I know you did it. I put the grade in a little bit ago. Okay, it may have been outdated. So I know I put the grade in. You're gonna get, I know you did it. So did you do that problem? All right, good job. You did it. Yep, you got it. All right. So all right, see, and okay, here's what I like about what's going on here. I like how once you know the setup, because the goal is getting the setup. Once you get the setup, you're good, right? We agree? We're good? Okay, I'll look at it later. I can't look at that right now. There's your setup. You saw for X. We got what for value for X? Who can tell me? And then what was the value of XY? It's 4 times 7 plus 1. Okay, so good. Most of you, I see, are getting this. You know how to go from here down here. Good. All right, questions on this problem? Because in the end, the goal is getting to the setup and then figure it, because from here, you all know how to get to here by now. And then it's just evaluating. If you're not sure, again, that might be a see me after school or during a stinger activity. Figure this out. You have to be honest. All right? Okay, this one. Okay, this one's a little different. Here's why. Here's how this one's a little different. They gave us this arc, right? They didn't give us this or this, but we do know one thing. If you have a circle, right? What's the total number of degrees in a circle? So it's 360. So 360 is from here all the way around. That's 360. Now, what we did know is you still have the mirror. Now, before we do that, 360 is the entire circle. We agree, right? Okay, so we first took this 76 away. How much is remaining from here? Actually, let me use a different, I'm going to use a different color for that one. What's the remaining degrees from
284.
284, right? Okay, good. So the remaining part is 284. So from here to here, 284. So that's the entire amount. Let me put that here. So this might be an idea. Now, actually, I'm going to stop here. If you haven't done so, either get a highlighter or pencils. Colored pencils or highlighters. Because I want y'all to see how we're breaking down everything. So, highlighter, pencil. So if you need them, get them now. So if you need them, get them now. So, Edwin, do you need a highlighter or pencil? You sure? You sure you're going to be good with breaking down everything? Ladies in the back, you two are going to be okay? To understand how we're going to break down everything? All right. So 284 is the remaining part, right? Now, just like before, these two chords are the same. So what can we really do to this 284? Or actually in general with the whole circle. What should we do since we have a center? We can always split it in half. So now the 284 we're going to split in half. The reason why we're going to split it in half again. You can do this. So now we're going to take the 284 and we're going to divide by 2. Because since this circle, you could split it right down the middle. You can take whatever's left, cut it in half. 142. So what's going to happen is each part that's above this chord or below that chord is going to be 142. That's the key step. You have to understand where we're getting these numbers. Write that. So that's 142, that's 142. So you split this right in the middle. That's what we're going to get. So you split the 284 into 142, 142. Now, here's our setup. 6x minus 20. Is the 6x minus 20 equal to 284 or 142? What are we going to set the 6x minus 20 to equal? Is it 284 or 142? Huh? Why 142? You're right, it is. It's going to be the 142. Reason being, you split this, so you got to split the remaining 284 degrees exactly in half. That's why we divided by 2. So this arc, this part of the arc right here is actually 6x minus 20 equals 142. So the 284 was the remaining amount. That's the most important part. You have to understand, oops, what the remaining amount is being the 284, which is, you started with 360, and then think about it like a pizza pie. You took away 76. And that's where we get the 284. And then from there, so let me just make sure. This is the part that you need to understand the most right here. equal 360 minus 76. That's the 284, and then you have to split the 284 in a half. 142, 142. Okay? Now, are we at a point where we can solve for x? All right. And that's all you have to do at this point. Again, it's going to be context clues. Given a clue, go with what you know. Because you know the entire circle is 360. All right. But then you notice, okay, we got to cut that. So the remaining part is 284. You got to take the 76 out. And then you have to cut it in half. That's where we get to 142. So I want you to really quick solve for x. Give it 6x minus 20 is 142. But that I think was a hard part. Now I'll look at the test. Actually, we get this from here, I should say. And then I think for the rest of these few slides, I think I'm just going to show you setup going on. Because I really want to start talking about the new lesson today. And this is sort of what we're going to be learning in a little while. Okay, did anybody get a value of x yet?
27.
27? Agree or disagree with 27? Agree? Yep. 27 times 6 will be 162. There you go. Now, I think on a test, it should not be as complicated as this one. All right. Here we go, the last couple. This one. Same as before. Anytime you see those lines, you know how you see them bisecting lines? You know how you have the slash? You know that they reflect each other? And these lines will automatically be the same. So basically, you have a mirror reflection. So DE is going to equal FG. So that means 11x plus 15 equals 32x minus 27. That's going to be your setup. I think on your homework, your problem looked exactly like this. Basically, just set your two chords equal to each other. Now, I think the problem that's on your homework is way easier than this one. Again, you just have your mirror reflection. Split it down the middle. I want you all to really quick solve for the x. Yeah. Hurry up. They're back. All right. Anybody get a value of x?
2.
What'd you get? 2?
Yeah, 2.
Okay, that's what I got as well. It was 21x equals 42. Yep. X is 2. And then anybody get a value for DE?
37.
Yep. 60. Yep. Perfect. Questions, anybody? Questions on the setup? Questions on these problems? And then next problem is going to be the same, and then the very last problem, I'm going to have you cross out. Next problem is the same. Set it up. So again, problem 9, or on the back side, the very last 2 pages. Here's what you're going to do. Actually, I don't even know why I wrote the total. Well, the hint, total of degrees is 360, but you don't need that. Oh, you do. I'm going to tell you why. This one's a little different. Okay, my fault. Okay, first off, you have the mirror, right? Do we still agree with the mirror? So what can we say about these 2 arcs? They are the... Okay, so you still have the 9x minus 43 equals 5x plus 33. So this is a different problem, though. Reason being, well, you first have to still find the x. So do that first. Give you a moment to find the x first. But then what's going to happen for MP, they want you to find this part right here, which you can still do. Here's how you're going to do that. What do we know about the sum of a circle? It's how many degrees? 360. So 360 is going to equal, here's how we're going to break that down. 360 is going to be, well, I'm just going to write them double letter. MP NM plus MP. These are all arcs plus PN. So here's how we get the 360. Total 360 all the way around. We agree, right? So you got 360 all the way around. Well, first, let's solve for x. What did we get for x?
19.
Very good. Not sure, check. Now, what you need to do, plug the 19 both here. Actually, just one of them. You can just plug it in for one of them. So what do you get? How much? 128, 128, so 256. All right, because you have 128, 128. That's what's going to happen. So you have 128. Plus 128. Now, do we know what MP is yet? Do we know what this arc is yet? So how do we label it? If we don't know it, we use an X. Now, I think on your test, you're not going to so much have to worry about this. You're just going to probably have to worry about one of these guys. So if I say, the only way you might have to worry is if I say, give me this arc, give me that arc, what's left? That's basically what happened here. You got to figure out, okay, this arc was 128. This arc is 128. But now my goal is I have to get the 360. So how much more do I need? That's the goal. If I have 128, another 128, add them up. How much is that? 256. Well, how much more do I need between 256 and 360? What do we do? What do we do with the 360 and 256? Do we add, subtract? Yeah, you're gonna subtract. Subtract 360 minus 256. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's 104.
That's the remaining amount. So, believe it or not, you all know more than you think. Give yourselves more credit. You're not giving yourselves enough credit. I'm telling you that right now. You all know more than you think. You're smarter than you think. You can do this. All right. The very last slide I'm going to cut. Don't worry about that one. Just cross it out. I mean, you still have a similar one, but basically in the end, it's all these pieces, but I'm not gonna have you do this. Cut that out. Put an X here. So this is gonna be the last slide from Unit 8, Day 1. We're not gonna talk about that very last one. It's basically taking all the pieces you learned. All right, next thing I want to talk about. For today's lesson. So we're going to start a new lesson. All right. Take them, start passing them back. Take these, start passing them around. You should meet in the middle. There's no Des, no Christian. Anybody seen Des or Christian today? Pass it back. Maybe you should get one. Oh, okay. I'll take the extra. All right. Now, here's what we want to talk about for today. Next lesson we're going to talk about with these inscribed angles. Basically, the magic number is 2. Being you either divide by 2 or you multiply by 2. Here's what we mean. We kind of sort of saw this. So yeah, the magic number is going to be 2. So basically, we'll cut to the chase. If your angle is not in the center, so this is probably so angle is not formed at the center. Because earlier we were talking about angles that were formed at the center, right? Unless if it was the 2 chords. That's when I told you got the mirror. So if your angle's not formed at the center, that's the inscribed angle. Basically, here's how we're gonna make it very easy. You're gonna be asked 2 questions, and I think I'm gonna reiterate it probably on the next slide. Oh no, I'll reiterate it here. So rather than reading all this, I'm gonna cut to the chase. So if you're gonna go from given angle, here's what you're gonna do. If you want to go from angle to arc, you multiply by 2. What I'm going to type, given arc, you want to go to angle, divide by 2. So if you want to know the most important stuff for what we're dealing next, it's basically right here. Boom. So if you're given the arc, divide by 2 to get to the angle. In fact, let me write this in a better way. So let me rewrite this so it's... I'm just going to switch it, but divide by 2, angle. Multiply by 2, arc. That's how we're going to do it. So that's basically the question. You're going to ask yourself, am I given the angle or am I given the arc? And the other part is my angle at the center or is it on an edge? So that's basically the goal with this unit. So if your angle is not at the center, then you're either multiplying or dividing by 2 to get to go to and from like the arc and the angle. Whereas if it was at the center, angle and arc measure, if the angle was at the center, were the same. So, and I think if not Friday, definitely next week, that's going to be the thing we're going to talk about. When are we going to divide, or when do we just multiply, divide, or do we keep? All right, here we go. So did everybody get this part right here? It's not formed at the center, your angle. You go from angle to arc, multiply by 2. You go on arc to angle, divide by 2. That's really it. And we're going to practice this as we go. So any questions before we start? All right. In fact, there might be another way I'm going to set this table up, make it real easy for us. Okay. So let's look at this first problem. Now, this other question is not on your diagram, but it's something to think about. So let's look at what's given. If we look at this problem right here, are we given an angle or an arc? You're given an arc. This is an arc right here. That's an arc. Now, your other question, is your angle formed at the center?
No.
No. So now, here's what we're going to do. I think this might actually be the easiest way to set this up. So given, need. So we're given, what were we given again? What was given to us? Which was the arc. So we're given an arc. You need angle. So the arc, 62, If we want to get to the angle, are we multiplying or dividing? That's the question. So if you start at arc, and you want to get to the angle, so what are we going to multiply or divide by 2? Divide by 2. That's what you're doing. You need the angle. That's going to tell us, oh, we got to divide by 2. That might be, so we divide by 2. So what's 62 divided by 2? 31. So the angle WXY, which is this angle right here, 31 degrees. So if you gotta have the arc, but you need the angle, divide by 2. That's what you do. Question so far? Those are basically the only things you have to ask yourself. Is it an angle or an arc? Is the angle at the center? If it's not at the center, then we just say, okay, am I dividing or multiplying by 2? That's all. That's all it is. So far, any questions? Zoe, Valerie, did you two get that? So what's the magic number? Magic number. What are we either going to multiply or divide by? All right, that's what I want to see or hear. Multiply or divide by 2. Okay, here we go. Next problem. Okay. So we given an angle or an arc?
Angle.
This time you're given an angle. Given need. So we're given angle. You need arc. So the angle was 113. So to get the arc, what's happening here? Multiply by 2. You got to multiply by 2 now. Good.
It's 226.
Up. Boom. Multiply by 2. It's 226 degrees. So D, G, F, 226. So yeah, now you gotta multiply by 2 in this case. Okay, questions so far? Not too bad, right? So name of the game is my multiplying or dividing by 2. That's the goal. Oh, I forgot. Is our angle in the center of the circle? Yes or no? This angle right here, DEF, in the center? Yes or no? Is this angle at the exact center of the circle? No. That's the other part. If it's at the center of the circle, then the arcs and the angles are going to be the same. But if it's at a different point, no. That's basically going to be one of your homework questions. If you're given the angle, get the arc. Or if you're given the arc, get the angle. Basically, you multiply or divide by 2. All right. Questions before we continue? Okay, this one's going to be a little different. Now, you got to be careful. Well, first off, are we given an angle or an arc? You're given an angle. Now, is the angle at the center? Yes or no? No. Now, here's the important part. BC, which arc are we looking for? Are we looking for AC or BC?
BC.
This one here. I should have actually. Let me highlight with this. This is our arc we're looking for. Now, we don't know it yet, but we can figure it. We can figure this one out because Now, are we gonna multiply 47 by 2? Well, we have an angle. If we're going from angle to arc, you got to multiply by 2. But here's what's going to happen. You multiply by 2 to get this arc, right? To get AC, right? What's 8? So 47 times 2 gives us how much?
94.
94, but that's AC. So arc AC However, are we looking for AC or are we looking for BC?
BC.
BC. Now, to get BC, what do we know? If we look at the semicircle, let's just look at this half of the circle. Don't even look at this half. So let's pretend this part got scratched out. Boom, 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 boom. Get that out of here. If we have a semicircle, how many total degrees is a semicircle?
That's 180.
That is 180.
So 180 minus 94.
That's how we're going to get BC. Arc BC is going to be 180 minus 94. This part right here is going to be 180
And that's 86.
minus 94. Because 180 is the semicircle. Do we agree to that part? From A all the way to B, that grand total is 180. Are we good with that? And then are we good with the arc from A to C? Given the 47-degree angle, multiply by 2 to get 94. Are we okay with that part? Then to get the remaining part is 180 minus 94. That's how we get our answer of 86. So BC is 86 degrees. Okay, questions. That's important. So again, there's a few parts to this. But again, a lot of it is going back to the basics. Semicircle is 180. If you're not sure where you get the 180, I'll put that little part in there. Yeah. Where's your agenda? All right, you got to take it out. I got to sign it. So 180 is your semicircle. And that's, again, we just have to make sure we understand where we're getting everything. If you're not understanding, oh, where's that 180 coming from? That's where you get lost. Or like right here, you get the angle. Arc, you got to multiply by 2. So if you're given an angle, so angle to arc, angle times 2 gives us the arc. That's what you have to understand. Here. Okay, questions? Morning. Questions on this problem here? All right. Let me put that here. All right, here we go. On we go. Okay, so what we're looking for is the following. They want us to find angle JKL. Angle JKL, start at J. And again, on your previous test, some of us had a difficult time given an angle, name of an angle, determining where that angle was located in a diagram. Some of us had a terrible time. There was one question in particular where we went over how to do it a couple times, and we still had serious, not some, but serious difficulties. Okay. All right, let's talk about this. Here's our angle. Is your angle at the center? Is this angle right here at the center? No. All right. Also, before that, what was given to us? Angles or arcs? That's an arc. Now, so we're given an arc. Now, we were given a 53 and a 65. But we don't know, but can we figure out, to get this angle, we can't do that yet, but we do know something else. And I think this might work out in the end. All circles are how many degrees? 360. So can we figure out the measurement of this arc from here all the way to here? Can we get that arc measurement?
No problem.
You can. Well, you know the grand total is 360, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to take away some pieces. What are we going to take away from the 360?
53 and 65.
It's going to be minus 53, minus 65. That's what you need to do. How much? 242. So in the end, you're given an arc. So What do we need? We need the, so if we're given an arc, you need the angle. Well, do we have the arc? What's the distance of the arc? Look at our angle. What's that arc that forms from that angle? So we're not gonna use the 65. Rather than 65, we're gonna use which number? Well, there's one of three possible numbers. If it's not 65, you have one of your two other numbers, either 53 or 242. Which one is it? Which one? 242 is what we use. So given the arc. So this problem here, so basically you need the arc from the angle. So this is the arc formed from the angle. That's what you need going on here. Now, if we want to get the angle given the arc, be careful, as a multiply, well, if we multiply 242 by 2, you're going to have very large angle.
Oh, we know, divide, right?
Got to divide. So if you're going from arc to angle, divide by 2. So arc to angle means divide by 2. Well, actually, divide your arc by 2. So arc, divide by 2, get angle. So the angle is going to be how many degrees? 121. Questions? All right. So far, any questions on these problems that we're doing? Basically, the goal is divide by 2. All right, we'll do a couple more. Let's see. Okay. This one. Are we given, so now the given part is an actual number. Are we given an angle or an arc for this problem?
I think we're given an angle.
Okay, your angle is 8x minus 9.
So we have to solve for x first. Okay. Right?
Well, but what else is given to us?
158.
What does the 158 represent?
Oh,
So you're actually given an arc first. Now, of course, is our angle in the center?
no.
No. So first you're given an arc. So the arc was given to us, and that was 158. Now, what do we have to do to get the angle? So if we want to get to the angle, what are we doing here? So if we want to go from arc to angle, are we multiplying or dividing by 2? You divide by 2. So then the angle measure would be how many degrees? 79 is the angle measure. So this angle measure right here is 79 degrees. However, are we finished with this problem? No, because in the end, what's the setup to solve for x? So our angle was 79, but what does the 79 represent? Okay, you're right, it represents the angle, but what does it also but what expression also represents that angle?
8x minus 9.
8x minus 9.
We have to do that.
So you have to solve for x now. So the 79, so we went from arc to angle. That's step number 1. And we found out the angle was 79 degrees. So you really have to set 8x minus 9 equal to 79, not 158.
X equals 11.
All right, you should get x equals 11. All right, I'll leave that up for a moment, but I just want everybody to think about, got the arc. 158 was the arc. Got to divide by 2 to get that angle, which was 79 degrees. That was the key step. So whenever you go from arc to angle, divide by 2, but then remember, your angle you set equal to 79, set it equal to 8x minus 9. Then you solve for the x. So this is the equation you need. I'm going to highlight it. Now, you could have wrote it 79 equals 8x minus 9, or 8x minus 9 is 79. Same thing. All roads are going to lead to x equals 11. Okay, any questions? Okay. All right. Did we get this one? Christian, you got this one? Okay. Edwin, Joshua, you guys got it? Annalie, Andy, we're good? Okay. So again, it's a few steps, but the goal is go with what we know. My arc is 158. My angle's not at the center, so I got to divide by 2. So that's where I get to 79. And then, oh yeah, I got to set 8x minus 9 equals 79. So they mean the same thing. This might be the toughest you might get for a test. This might be as far as I'll go. Similarly, I might do one more. Okay. Yeah, I know what I wanted to. Okay. This one real quick. Okay, what's first given to us? Really quick. Angle or arc? Let's look at this last problem real quick.
Arc?
Oh, no. You're given an angle. There's your angle. The angle was what was given to us. So if I'm given the angle, what do we have to do to get to the arc?
67 times 2, right?
Yep. Which is what number?
134. So then that would be the arc.
Your arc is going to be 134. So now you're going to multiply by 2. So angle to arc, you're going to multiply by 2. So your actual, this is your setup right here. So 4x plus 58 equals 134.
So 4x 58 equals 130.
Yep, this is your setup.
And then I want to know what x is.
That's our goal. How much?
19.
That looks right. 76 and 58. Yeah, that's 134. Very good. That's some good work there. So this is your equation. And then eventually get your x equals 19. But again, 4x plus 58 is not 67. It's going to be 134. All right. Just trying to see what we have left. Was it in the center? Where's our 67? Is that at the center? No. But thank you, Jason, for... No, that's a good reminder. You got to check to make sure that angle is not in the center. Then you can do this. And I think going forward, we're going to do a little checklist down the road. Whereas, check, angle. Is it at the center? If it is at the center, then they're equal. Yeah. They should be... I think we ran out. I have paper towel. I know that's not as good as tissue. We'll probably get more. But yeah, that's the closest thing I have. I think we ran out. So I do have some paper towels over here. I apologize, it's not as good as tissue. We'll get more, we'll make sure to get more. All right, questions on this problem? I'll let you look at this for a moment. So now the one thing I want to talk about, well, actually two little things before we call it a day, because I kind of want you to look at two little things real quick before we run. And then again, just like last time, bring this back next time. Bring this packet back. Well, the one thing is here, the one thing I want to talk about, let's say your angle, when you set up your angle and the ends are at the diameter, you automatically have a right angle. If you think about it, what's the distance of the semicircle? How many degrees is your semicircle? 180.
Okay.
Now, but what's half of 180? So if you're from here to here, it's 180. But what's half of 180? 90. So anytime, if your angle, if the two endpoints of the angle are the diameter, that's an automatic right angle. That's basically then the same idea. So it's similar to before. You technically had the arc because your arc was 180, right? And then what's half of 180? There you go. So you technically, same rules are in effect. 180 divided by 2, 90. So there may be, I think on your homework, there might be a problem like that where the angle, like when you extend it out, it forms a semicircle. Sometimes you might have to find pieces of the semicircle. That's where this problem you may have to be careful. And we'll talk about that on the homework. I don't know if I'm going to get to it, but let me see. But there might be a problem where on your on your homework, not so much this one. Well, similar idea. Basically, it's 180. So what's half of 180? 90. Now, what they might do, and I think what I'm going to do for your homework, I'm going to talk about one of the problems by way of a video. So what's going to happen, well, what's going to happen is on your circle, sometimes they're going to break this up. They're going to break your circle. They may break up your circle, like, for instance, this problem, they might break it up like the following. So if you draw the line, it's your line right through the, I know it's not the, that's, okay. It's not the best, but basically what's going to happen is they may break it up. Like if you have your triangle, no, it's not the best drawing, but they might break it up like the following. They might break it up like a 80, 100. Or if you have another, the reason why, because a homework problem like this, you're gonna have a similar homework problem where they might do something like this. It's like 75 or 70, 110. Just heads up, it may not always be a perfect straight cut right down the middle. But anytime your angle, if its ends are the diameter, then your angle will be exactly 90 degrees because the straight line angle is 180. And you got to divide by 2. Okay. And I think the one final piece of the puzzle, well, we'll talk about this next time. That's why your next homework's not going to actually be due for a little bit. You could start it. And then in the meantime, I'm going to pass back your tests. So in the meantime, homework's going to come around. You take one, just start pass it down. Take one, pass it down. I'm going to pass back your tests. Again, most of you did okay. Again, majority of you passed. Still not right with that. Hold on. I got what happened? Okay, no correction. Did you take one for you? Did you get one, Bill? All right. What was that one again?
What time past?
Okay. I'll show you work next time. Start. Stop. Next 12. That's still not right. Okay. That actually was 12. Oh. I think you're going to get a few points off. Well, that's a few points off, not just one. All right, let me fix that screen apparently. All right, so I'm gonna put the notes up. Bring this back. We only had maybe a few more slides, which we'll definitely cover. And then we'll cover a few things from the following unit. And then we'll figure things out from there. Okay, thank you, sir. Also, don't forget, your Unit 8 Lesson 1 homework is due next time. Emily, what's due next time? Okay, you want... Not listening.